As the officers approached, they heard 8 to 10 shots coming from an apartment. Investigators later learned that 6 members of the 74 Hoover Crips from LA had armed themselves and attacked members of the Altadena Block Crips who were living at 3548 Luella. While the officers were still trying to locate the source of the shooting, Officer Threlkeld saw 5 to 6 black males running from the area of 3520 Luella, and at least one of them was carrying a rifle. The officers were not aware that these were the 74 Hoover Crip gang members that had just committed a home invasion robbery on the Altadena Block Crip members and also robbed several other victims in the area. Almost immediately, the group started shooting at Officer Threlkeld. He could see muzzle flashes coming from multiple areas, and he heard rounds going past him. Realizing he was exposed to the suspect's gunfire, he took action to stop the attack. While up against the fence, he continued to fire his handgun and moved towards the suspects. 2 of the suspects stumbled and fell as if they had been hit. As Officer Kelly was running to assist Officer Threlkeld, he heard multiple gunshots that sounded as if they came from multiple shooters. He rounded the corner of the apartment complex and came up behind Officer Threlkeld, who was up against the chain link fence with nowhere to go. At great personal risk to himself, Officer Kelly went around Officer Threlkeld and engaged several suspects who were firing at them. Officer Kelly fired his shotgun at the suspects, and they fled. Officers Kelly and Threlkeld went in pursuit of the suspects, and both officers came under fire again, as the suspects appeared to have been lying in wait. The volley of gunfire was more intense than the first encounter, with at least 20 rounds from multiple locations being directed at the officers. Officer Kelly was able to pinpoint some of the gunfires coming from multiple suspects in a patio area by an apartment. Officer Kelly fired his shotgun toward the suspects who were shooting at him, and Officer Threlkeld fired at the gunfire at him and Officer Threlkeld. The gunfire from the suspect stopped. 3 of the suspects were hit by gunfire and eventually arrested that night by the assisting officers. 1 of the suspects died at the hospital from a bullet that severed the femoral artery in his right leg. 3 other suspects were identified and taken into custody throughout the following day. The surviving suspects were ultimately convicted of a combination of the following charges: murder, voluntary manslaughter, robbery, sales of cocaine, and the attempted murder of a police officer. At the conclusion of the investigation, 36 expended 9mm casings, 5 expended .380 casings, 6 expended .45 caliber casings, and 1 expended .22 caliber casing, along with numerous expended bullets and bullet fragments, were located at the scene of the 2 shooting incidents. Investigators also recovered a Worson .380 caliber semi-auto handgun, an HK-58 MAC-11 automatic pistol, a Marlin .22 caliber semi-automatic rifle, and cocaine, along with indicia of cocaine sales from inside the involved apartments. Search warrants were served on 2 of the suspects' residences in Moreno Valley, and a .22 caliber Winchester rifle, a Beretta .380 caliber semi-auto handgun, an Ithaca .45 caliber handgun, 180 9mm rounds, 115 .45 caliber rounds, and 6 shotgun slugs were recovered. Officers Michael Kelly and William Threlkeld were confronted by 6 armed gang members that had just committed an armed residential robbery, in which they fired rounds at the victims and robbed other victims walking in the area. The officers knowingly assumed extreme and great personal risk, which could have resulted in death or injury, by confronting and pursuing multiple armed gang members who had engaged them in gunfire. Their display of extreme professionalism and steadfastness in pursuit of the armed gang members ultimately resulted in all of the suspects being taken into custody. Both are hereby presented the highest award that the Riverside Police Department can bestow upon an officer, the Medal of Valor.